Oh, goody.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Zombies here again. And today we're back with another Marvel Snap video. So today, just quick little update on some news about some compensation for the recent issue with the MMR and leaderboard stuff. So I'm sure probably most of the player base didn't even know this happened, because it did affect a pretty small part of the population, but there were some people confused, and I think we're going to get even more confused people looking at their inbox and wondering what even was this issue. So basically there was a problem with MMR earlier this month, MMR being your standing and infinite, and this impacted people not getting reset correctly with the new season. Now, if you haven't hit infinite yet, this is probably not something you were affected by. In fact, I'd be curious to hear if anyone who hasn't hit infinite early on in the season actually received the gold compensation here, as I'm assuming the only people who are getting the gold compensation are people who hit infinite and then notice they lost a bunch of snap points. So if that happened to you and you're wondering, hey, where did my snap points go? There was a pretty big issue where a lot of players weren't having their MMR reset on the new season. So normally when Snap has its seasonal reset, your MMR goes down a bit and then people climb back up. Well, so a lot of players didn't have their MMR reset this season, so they were starting up way higher than other players who were at a similar level. This is obviously a really bad thing if you care at all about any kind of competitive integrity. And while I think competition isn't really a huge focus of Marvel Snap with the leaderboard stuff, clearly it is not something they were happy with, so they're issuing some compensation here. 500 gold has been sent out to all players who were affected by the issue. Again, I think this was a generally small portion of the player base. It likely only affected people who had hit infinite early on. I'd be curious to hear if anyone had their MMR renormalized but didn't know because they weren't infinite, but I don't think that happened. And not everyone who did hit infinite had this issue, though it was fairly widespread. Fun fact, this was actually an issue last season too, but it didn't affect many players last season. I think there was only a small handful of players, whereas this season it affected a lot more players. They were able to fix it, but as a result of that fix, players ended up losing MMR. It wasn't actually losing MMR because they shouldn't have had the MMR they had to begin with on reset, but it was kind of a feels bad thing. People were confused about it, and so we were apparently getting some compensation for it. Now, I was one of the players affected by this issue. I logged in one day, noticed I dropped like 400 or 500 snap points. Thought that was kind of weird, but read up on the issue and found out that I guess I was one of the affected players. So I ended up getting the 500 gold, which is what's being sent to those affected, and they decided to throw in a little bonus to the players who weren't affected of 200 credits. So yeah, if you were curious about what was going on here and what this message in your inbox and free stuff is, now you know. There was an issue with MMR, they fixed it, they're issuing a bit of compensation to make up for it. This is honestly not something I would have really expected them to compensate, especially because the portion of the player base that really cares about MMR is such a small percentage of the player base, so I'm actually surprised they're doing it, and even more surprised that they're actually giving, and I'm even more surprised they're actually giving free credits to everybody who wasn't affected by the issue. So nice to see, rare W, and yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. So let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you enjoyed it, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.